if you're not into soldering and splicing cables, skip this part and just take the easy route and wire up a separate power to your Raspberry Pi Zero. This is just for power users that don't want to pull an extra power, and we're going to leverage the same power from our Pixelcade. So if you're in that boat, then here's what you're going to do. So we need some extra parts here. These you can all get on Amazon. So these are some pigtails. This is a DC jack, male, female, and then we're going to just sacrifice or splice this existing micro USB cable. So the way this is going to work is we're going to unplug this normal DC jack that goes into Pixelcade. We're going to take our female and plug it in here, and then we're going to splice. So we're going to splice the male, right? So this is going to go back into the board, and then we're just going to take off that power and basically splice in this guy, micro USB, and plug this into our Pi Zero. And so we want to make this long enough so we got enough reach. I think that looks pretty good right there. So first thing you want to do is take your USB cable, get your pliers here, wire stripper. It's going to make a cut. This you don't really need. You can throw this away or save it for parts. And then very carefully we need to strip this guy. So let's do that. Okay, and so when I strip it, I only care about the black and the red wires. These other wires are for data. We don't actually need them, so why don't we just clip them off so we don't confuse ourselves. Okay, and then now again here you got to be a little careful because these wires are pretty thin, but let's go ahead and strip out the red, which is going to be our positive 5 volts, as well as the black, which is our ground. Okay. All right, that wasn't the best strip job, but it'll do. Okay, so we're basically exposing our red and black wires. So let's set that aside. Now let's go to the pigtails. One pigtail here, and the other one, what did I do with it? Here. Okay, so both of these pigtails, let's first just clip off the ends here, which are tinted, make it easier to strip. And then I'm just going to separate them like this. And these you'll find are much easier to strip. So those will come off nice and easy. Okay, so that's one. Let's do the other one. Okay. Now we got that done, so now let's just remember how we're going to connect this again. So this is our original cable that's going into the board. So got the female going in here. So that's going to go that way. And then this guy is going to go the other way. So I think what we'll do is we'll go like this. We'll take these two black wires and just connect them together. Now I think I want to strip this a little bit. Let's do this. Okay. So the black one is going to go with the black one here. So we're just going to, let's strip off a little bit. Okay, we're just going to go like so, wrap them together. And then likewise, the red on the USB is going to go with the red on the power. Let's cut that a little bit. And then wrap that together. Okay. And so then now we want to take the other end here and again connect the red and the black. And before I do this, I want to make sure that I get my heat shrink wrap, because we'll make this look a little cleaner and just use our heat shrink. So I'm going to take this heat shrink and I'm just going to string it down both of these guys. Like so. And we might want to do one other, we could do one other bigger, I think it's okay, let's skip it. We could do one other bigger heat shrink, but that's not really needed. So let's clip these guys off here. Okay, just shorten those up. And then let's again touch the reds to the reds and the black to the black. And if you don't have these pigtails, you can get them on Amazon. Send me a note and I can send you a link to them. Okay, so we've wrapped everything up pretty clean. Now we need to solder. Once we solder, then we're going to heat shrink and keep everything nice and neat. So before we solder, I always like to just take my solder here and I like just to kind of wrap it like this. I find it makes it easier. This is optional, but so we're just going to wrap the solder around like so. No need to put too much solder on it. I usually put too much, but okay, so that's one side. And let's do the other side. Okay, so that's more than enough solder. Okay, so let's go ahead and solder. I got my solder iron here. When you're soldering, it's always a good idea to have a fan, so I'm going to turn on my fan to take up the smoke. Okay, so that is good enough. See, I put too much solder. I got a little thing here, so let's just remove that. Okay, so now we got our solder fine. This you don't really need to do, but I always like to take a little bit of electrical tape and just wrap it before we do the heat shrink. So we'll just take a little piece off here. Again, this isn't really needed, and I just like to do it. Okay, so that's one side. Okay, So now we got that. Now we can just simply take our heat shrink and cover it up to make this a little bit cleaner. Okay, so here's our heat shrink gun. Oops. Kind of hard to, normally don't do this with one hand.